Now, the Russian Defense Ministry says it has deployed an advanced missile system to the Syrian port of Tartus.
The S-300 anti-aircraft missile system has indeed been sent to the Syrian Arab Republic. The system is designed to bolster the security of the naval base in Tartus.
Now, Igor Konashenkov says that the S-300 is a defensive system and poses no threat to anyone. He also says Russia is surprised by the West's reaction to the news of the deployment. The Pentagon has questioned Russia's real intention of sending the anti-aircraft missile system to Syria. Pentagon spokesman Peter Cook says no anti-Damascus terrorist group has an air force, warning that Washington will closely monitor Moscow's activities. Last year, Russia deployed its newest air defense system, S-400, to Syria. Russian President Vladimir Putin said the S-400 system and short-range missiles would remain on permanent combat duty in the war-torn country. Let's speak to Max Igan. He's a radio host and political commentator, and he joins us via Skype from Lima. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Igan. Now, why is the U.S. surprised by the Russian move to protect its equipment and its base, basically, in Syria?
Well, look, it's theatre for the masses. It suits their intent to appear surprised. This is what the United States does. It pushes people as far as it can until they act defensively, and then it claims that they're acting aggressively. I mean, when you look at the rebel situation in Syria, I mean, people have to understand that there are no moderate rebels. This whole thing has been an invasion. There is no civil war in Syria. There has never been a civil war in Syria. This whole thing has been a covert invasion, and all the terrorist forces are run by the United States. They're all run by the West, by Israel, by Saudi Arabia, by all the countries that have an interest in the area. We see Israel has even started saying it's going to start annexing part of Syria. It's already talking about oil rights in Syria and all sorts of stuff. So it should be obvious to people to see what this war really is. It's got nothing to do with a civil war at all. So you've got the United States supplying the rebels, so-called rebels, which is al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, ISIS, all of these people, with anti-aircraft weapons. But they can do that, but then when Russia comes in and brings in anti-aircraft weapons to combat this, I mean, who are these rebels? Who are these weapons being supplied to? I mean, we know the United States is supplying these people with anti-aircraft weapons. Who are these for? To shoot down Syrian planes and to shoot down Russian planes. So Russia's just putting in its own defense, saying, well, you're pushing, so we're going to push back a little bit. But this is just typical of the hypocrisy of the West. It pushes people to the point that they have to respond, and then it claims that they're being aggressive. It's like they say Iran is being so aggressive for putting its country so close to US military bases, apparently. This is just the way they play it. You know, you've got to look at this and realize that it's all doublespeak.
Well, Mr. Igan, as we've talked about here numerous times on Press TV, when it comes to Syria right now, we're seeing different interests at play between different players, and it's hard to make out who's supporting who and who's not supporting who. But at the end of the day, ever since the breakdown of the latest ceasefire agreement between the U.S. and Russia, do you think that Syria has also become sort of a platform for the U.S. and Russian governments to fight over perception when it comes to this war?
Absolutely. There's an awful lot of theatre at play here as well. There really is. There's a lot of perception control that's going on here. And, you know, that the whole concept that this could break out into World War III and all sorts of stuff. You know, you see a lot of laws and a lot of stuff that's changing in Western countries as well. You've got the US election looming in the background, which is, it's all going to depend on the outcome of this election, which could go any way at the moment. There's like 3 possible outcomes for that election. So it's it's all about perception control. I mean, even Russia in its defense of Syria, I mean, Russia is, people have to stop looking at this as a guy and bad guy situation. There's a certain play here. It's like a chess move, and there's not really any good guys in this, you know, and the people that are suffering ultimately is the people. You know, these are the people who are pawns. The people in Syria and the people on the ground are the ones who are suffering for all this, but it's definitely about perception control, most certainly.
All right, let's leave it there for now. That's radio host and political commentator Max Igan joining us via Skype from Lima. Mr. Igan, it's always great having you with us here on Press TV.